So now you're a trainer under rules, and you and your husband Ed are a business partnership as well as husband and wife. How easy is that?
Well, the business partnership, in some ways, it is quite separate, because I do leave the point-to-pointing decisions as to where to run horses to him to a great extent, unless it's something to do with one of particularly my owners bringing on a young horse for the good of the young horse as to where we run. So Ed is very much in charge of the point-to-point side, and I'm very much in charge of the breaking, pre-training and national hunt side. And because I only have 9 stables for national hunt, in some ways my side of the business is a bit smaller, but then I get involved in the breaking.
Ed rode 40 winners as a point-to-point rider, and he was the West Midlands champion. Did you ever ride against each other?
Yes, I did. I have to say, I didn't really know Ed. He was quite shy, and I rode down in the West Country a lot more, probably when he was riding most in point-to-points. Also, Ed was pretty quiet because he had to watch his weight very closely, and so he couldn't go off socialising. And I think he went off drinking plenty, but I don't think after racing. But he wouldn't have gone to the dinner parties that I went to. So yeah, I knew of him, and actually we partly got together because I did notice him, and so when I couldn't ride a horse for Philip Greenwood at Maysmore, I managed to find Edward Walker's telephone number so that I could then put the ride in his way, in the hope that if it went well, we might meet up afterwards, which worked a treat.
Love it when a plan comes together. So you started as a point-to-point trainer with just 4 horses.
Yeah.
That must have been quite tough in the early days.
Do you know, we bumbled along and we hadn't really got an idea what we were doing. We're doing just purely what our hearts told us to. We had Sally and John Alford as owners of 2 horses, and Roger Maggs, who was a great reason that I bought the ground down here and I was encouraged to train pointers in the first place. Roger Maggs had 2 horses with us, and we were just doing it because we enjoyed it, which is a great reason to start. And we were very ambitious to try and do something well for those owners and for ourselves, but we didn't have any great ambition, and that's why it worked beautifully, and we were very lucky, and it was all a bit hand to mouth, and we didn't have all the equipment and all the kit that we've got now, but we really enjoyed it, and we really were so lucky in the horses we managed to choose or fall upon, because the first year I think we had perhaps 1 or 2 winners. The second year we had 15 winners out of 15 horses, and the next year we had 33 winners out of 18 horses. It was quite ridiculous how in 3 years how it took off. So and that was when I was working for Spillers, so out and about in the country, and Ed was here training the pointers with some help from Stuart Sampson, who trains now, and Rose Vickery used to come in and ride out, and a lovely girl called Nikki Brooks worked for us. And so basically I think we probably did much better when I wasn't at home.
So you're so steeped in the point-to-point scene. Why did you make the decision to train under rules?
We had a horse for Guy Henderson. Guy is MD at Ascot Racecourse, and his son Robbie Henderson actually had a horse of Richard Mitchell called Fortview, and Guy Henderson was trying to encourage Robbie to go to university at Exeter and take his place, and so he asked us if we would have Fortview down here and train him so that Robbie could come back from Exeter Uni every morning and ride out. Actually, poor Guy Henderson, it really backfired because Robbie didn't go to university. It didn't interest him at all, and we ended up training Fortview and had a wonderful time. Guy was a hugely great influence. He was so encouraging to me and so appreciative of us trying our best with Fortview, which we try our best with all the horses. And so it was Guy's suggestion that he would like Fortview and Robbie to ride under rules. And so he encouraged me to take out a licence. So that's what I did.
Are there any particularly different challenges training under rules than point-to-pointers?
More so in recent years. The horses in races go faster and faster, and it's more difficult to give horses that nice introduction. You have to get them stinging fit, and they have to be able to jump out the start gate and go like hell. And if you don't train them to do that, they won't see which way they went, which does happen with our horses. I think the reason it happens with our horses is we get optimistic about the horses we've got, And we think that if you ride the nice race on them, where you jump out and go sensibly, not too quick early on, they see their races out well, but they're probably not good enough horses, some of them. So it is a challenge that you've got to gallop them a bit more, because they have got to be going much nearer their maximum speed from the flagfall.
Okay, now just for the layman, and that includes me, Ed trains the pointers, you train the horses and the rules. Are both establishments totally separate, or do you would the horses work together? And
the horses very much do work together. For a start, I'll be riding my horses. Ed being a bit bigger than me, he will sometimes ride Dawson City because he's thicker set and he needs a lot of work and he needs a bit of weight on him. And then so sometimes Ed is officially my assistant trainer, so there can be a crossover, but we basically I have my staff doing my horses and Ed has his staff doing his.
Okay, so we talked before, and I know you don't have to qualify hunts anymore, but do the pointers still go hunting?
Yes, the pointers, any of the horses can go hunting. Dawson City is my best national hunt horse, and he goes hunting a bit. It just cheers him up and keeps him happy. He travels better in a race if he's been hunting within a week or 10 days before he runs. The point-to-point horses go hunting for help their education. They go in a lorry, go and stand on the lorry for a bit before the meet. They might be out there for 3 or 4 hours. I never hunt a racehorse for too long, because I think you can, you're trying to get them really fit. You don't want to take off any meat. If you're out on them for a long time, they can lose weight, and you don't want them too lean. Not that our horses would ever be accused of being too lean. But yeah, all of our horses can potentially go hunting, and we hunt them for education or to cheer them up. And it doesn't matter whether they're national hunt or point to point. I generally am the one that hunt all the horses, because when you go through flinty ground or gateways, it's better that I'm in charge, and I know the hunting fraternity and the hunting country is better. So if I take a member of my staff hunting with me on a horse, I will be with them generally, because again, I know the countries, and so I can just keep an eye. Okay,
so another part of the business is breaking horses, which basically taking a wild animal and taming it. Is that what it is?
It is. It depends how. If the horses have been well handled as foals and yearlings and 2-year-olds, they're not very difficult to do at all. Some people, one of my very best owners has been Ross Oliver, and he would be greatly developed his opinion that horses should be competitive, naturally competitive. Well, that's all very well, but whilst being naturally competitive, they also got to do what they're asked to do by their rider. And if they argue against you when you're riding them, the race is gone. So yeah, in some ways it is taking a wild animal. It depends where these horses are brought and bred from as to how wild they are. Most horses, the equine species has definitely been tamed. It's a bit like dogs. You very much get wolves, which are wild dogs, and then you get the dogs. I can't think of the word at the moment, but most dogs are fairly easy to train.
Okay, now I was interested, once again, this is me not really understanding how it all works. On your website it says the horses can be broken from the 1st of May to the end of October, so why that time scale?
That's just because we're much less busy from that time. To be fair, the breaking, I sometimes start breaking them from the 1st of March if someone wants something broken in earlier. We've got longer hours, I've got more time in the day, because the days are so much longer throughout the summer, and I can take my time. Whereas when we're in the winter months, we've got pointers in for Ed, I've got national hunt horses in, and the whole cogs of the wheel need to move very smoothly to get 4 lots ridden out efficiently in the mornings. When you're breaking in horses, sometimes you need to take a lot of time with a young horse to get its confidence, to basically practice join up, which is getting the horse used to you and being your partner when you're breaking them in. And so it's that reason that we need to smoothly run well-oiled machine working in the winter, because it's shorter daylight hours, and in the summer we've got time.
Okay, what facilities do you have here?
We've got our main. working facility for exercising the horse is a 4.5 furlong gallop. It's a sand gallop which starts in a hill, goes up quite a good hill and then into a flat oval on the top, and so we can do lots of steady cantering. We would long rein young horses up there. We'll ride young horses when they're just broken up there, walking and trotting, and we can do all our steady work on with the racehorses to get their stamina and fitness. Then I've got a school up the road that I can use if I want to go and do grid work and the weather is terrible. But we in the middle of our gallop, we've got nice flat grass area where we've got a dressage arena and just grass and various show jumps that we can play around with. A lot of our horses do a lot of walking and trotting over poles to make them aware of where their feet are. We've got the most amazing hacking areas around here. We've got lots and lots of woods up on East Hill and bridle paths that lead us up there. And I'm very keen on getting horses out and in the woods because I think it's a very nice way of getting them fit, trotting and cantering. Without them thinking they're getting fit, they're going from A to B. We've also got lots of turnout paddocks. I'm really keen on turning horses out. We can turn out 10 horses every afternoon. And so some horses don't get turned out because they fizz or gallop around and don't settle, but most horses go out 2, 3 or 4 times a week. And then I go up the hill and we've got a grass gallop that's 4 to 5 furlongs long, depending on how you use it, but certainly a 4 furlong straight. And so they can get galloped on grass as well. So we've got 2 horse walkers and various lorries, but I'm very keen on taking horses out and about in lorries to get them used to, I don't want the first time they've ever been in a lorry, having left our place, to be going to the races. They will have probably gone for a morning's trail hunting, they will have done a hunter trial, or they will have done a dressage test at a riding club event. They will have done lots of little trips. So they get in the lorry and they're completely au fait with being in the lorry, relaxing, confident in their surroundings, so that when you take them somewhere new, they don't forget to breathe. If you don't breathe, they don't run well in races. The most important thing, as well as being fit, is that they breathe when they get there. And so I'm a great believer in making sure that you have a horse really well prepared. And if anyone sends horses to us for pre-training, which we're very lucky we have, Richard Kelvin Hughes does exactly that, and a few other people, that the horses have a really good all-round education. Flat work, some people call it dressage, it's basically just flat work and educating a horse to carry itself well, so that they use all the muscles in their body available to them, basically. If you just walk and trot horses and canter them in straight lines, there's a whole bunch of muscles that they won't have trained. And so I'm very keen on making sure the horse learns to use itself well, establishes a self-carriage when it's working, whether it be in walk, trot or canter, and gets secure in doing lots of different things, so that when you take it to a race course, it then goes, oh, we're doing something new. This is great. We've done lots of new things in the past, and I think I'm going to enjoy it, as opposed to a horse that holds its breath, gets worried and concerned about things, and then you can't run even over 5 furlongs on one breath, let alone 3 miles.
Okay, and you're also keen on, racing club, because you've got a racing club and also with syndicates. You encourage that? Yes,
we've got point-to-point syndicates, and we've had we've really got 1 or possibly 2 horses to go into a syndicate this time. We have, but we always have syndicates available, and I think it's a great way of people getting involved in racing without it costing the earth. And it's very important within these syndicates you put the like-minded people together. I've learnt from slight mistakes in the past that if you want like-minded people together so they can go and enjoy each other's company. If it's not working, that horse might go to a sale and it might get bought back by the same syndicate, missing 1 or 2 members because it didn't suit those members. And I don't think you should be ever frightened of the truth. If a syndicate member isn't enjoying it, 1 syndicate member out of 4 or 5 people can't have the biggest say. So it's got to be an enjoyable situation. Horse is a pleasure. It doesn't matter whether you're riding horses yourself or you're involved in a syndicate. They should stay a pleasure, and everyone's opinions counts, but basically, as a trainer, I'm the chairman of the committee.
Okay, and finally, ambitions that you've got your sights on as a trainer, or anything else in that manner.
Yeah, I would. I think as a trainer, I just like every horse to reach its full potential. And that's what sending a horse to me will hopefully mean, that horse reaches its full potential, because I understand its psychological needs and I make it really well prepared for the job it's going to do, in the hope that the jockey can get on at a race course and just ride a race, because the horse knows its job, whether it be galloping or galloping and jumping, and the jockey can have confidence in that horse, so that then it can go and avoid the other opponents in the race, ride the sort of race to suit the horse, and even if it doesn't win, run the best race it can. If a horse keeps is sound and it jumps well and it's confident, it's going to, and it hasn't got a breathing issue, it's going to win something. And so if that horse can run its best race every time it goes on a race course, it'll win something. If they're fractious and they're nervous and you have to sometimes work at these, they don't just come onto a race course and get it all right straight away. And it does slightly bring me on to that's the problem with national hunt racing. They go so fast so early in so many of the national hunt races now. It's very difficult to educate a nice young horse. And so undulating tracks, the likes of Chepstow or Exeter, are much easier places to educate a nice young horse than a flatter track like Newton Abbot or Newbury, where you've got a lot of good horses running there. And that's also the benefit of using pointer points, because you go so much slower in a pointer point. You can have a nice education for a nice young horse. You might get away with a nice young horse running very fast early on in a race, but you're more likely to that won't be quite as good an experience if the young horse has a quieter, slower start to racing. So I'm very keen on introducing young horses gradually in the right place, on the right race course, in the right situation, so that they can reach their potential over when you train a young horse, its best race shouldn't be in its first 3. It should become better at racing the older it gets. And until probably the age of 7 or 8, your national hunt horses should keep improving. If you have its best race when it's 4 or 5, you probably know it wasn't the most positive experience, and that's why it goes downhill.
Okay, final question. Riding or training?
Riding.
Polly Gundry, thank you very much.
Thank you.